in Ceredigion, our main project at the moment is here in Pontrhydfendigaid at Strata Florida, which is the old Cistercian Abbey that was founded a couple of miles down the road originally in 1164 and then refounded and put just up the road where the Cadw monument is now. And we started to look at that. It's a relatively modest monument. You go in there, it's sort of rather flat, not a lot of standing architecture left. So one of the first things we had to do is find out how big it was and whether the surviving archaeology was there sufficient to support a project.
Okay.
And it's big, and there's loads of archaeology. At 120 acres, which is what we think the site size is, it is, we think, and you are the first public source of information to know this, the largest Cistercian Abbey in the United Kingdom, if not in Europe.
Wow.
So that raises all sorts of interesting questions about why. Why here in the middle of Wales are they doing this sort of thing? And you actually look at the land grant that was given to sustain the abbey of that size, and it's 80,000 acres in extent, spreading all over the Cambrian Mountains, all the way to the coast. Quite an astonishing piece of land.
Yeah.
And we think that the Lord Rhys of Deheubarth, who is my great hero, who is the Lord of Dinevor, was the man who really instigated this.
Okay.
And what he wanted was a big, big church in the middle of his territory.
And when would this be in time we're talking about?
It's in 12th century, late 12th century, between the years 1164, 1184. That's really when Rhys was at the height of his powers. He took over Cardigan Castle and ran the National Eisteddfod there in 1171. So he's a great instigator of a number of what we would call major projects about Welshness and Welsh identity. Yeah. And I think what he's using Strata Florida for is to be a centre of ideology, of culture and poetry. It's the place where the history of Wales was written for the first time in Welsh. It's the place where many of the surviving as much of the surviving poetry of Wales that we have left in manuscripts was actually written down on those manuscripts. The cows on backs on which out of which the manuscripts were made, the vellum, actually walked around the hills here in Pontrhydfendigaid. So you've probably judged it's a tremendously exciting project, and we've got a big community involvement. We've got a rural development plan budget for this. We're going to have major events happening there, which will engage the community. And as a sort of extra thing to that, we are looking to take over. We've set up a trust, a buildings trust, and we're looking to take over a set of buildings, Monoclonvar Farm, which lies next door to it, to be a centre and a focus for all of this.
Wow, it's just a very, very substantial project then.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So we're very excited about all of this, and archaeology, I think, is a subject that captures the imagination, because it is real material contact. You can actually touch the past in a physical way, and you're also digging up things that haven't been seen for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And we had a young lad came on site this summer. I've never found any gold. 40 years of digging, I've never found any gold. This young lad, first day on site, finds a gold coin.
Wow.
The highest value coin in Europe of its day, Edward III, gold noble. Absolutely amazing. And then a couple of weeks later, we found a lead pilgrim's badge from Santiago de Compostela in Galicia, in northwestern Spain. Perhaps the third most important pilgrimage centre in Europe.
Where do all these things go then? Are they in one big treasure chest, or
they will go to a museum. They will go to a museum. What they've had to do first off, of course, is to conserve them properly. So they go to a conservation laboratory and so on. But actually, technically, the stuff that comes out of the ground belongs to the landowner.
The landowner.
So it really is at the discretion of the landowner. So actually, what happens to it? But I'm sure we'll be able to do some kind of deal. I hope so, anyway.